Another one I think is funny is people say they're not very good. Well, as compared to who? In martial arts, there's always someone better than you. And if that's the case, if you're saying, well, your skill has to be a certain level, what level is that? Do you have to win so many tournaments? Do you have to beat up so many people? Do you have to have so many street fights? Another one is people will say, well, you're a McDojo if you've never competed. Well, like, that's ridiculous. Like, what about John Donahue? John Donahue in jiu-jitsu has created some of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners ever. What's his fight record? He doesn't have one.
He doesn't have.
Or what about Bruce Lee? Bruce Lee was able to inspire so many millions of people to join martial arts and become better people because of his martial skill, but not because he was a pro fighter, because he never was a professional fighter. How about the Ninja Turtles or the Power Rangers? Exactly. They're not even real, and they inspired millions of people to join martial arts. So as I started researching, I started realizing that most people had no clue what the real issues were. Meanwhile, there was like a record number of pedophiles in the martial arts industry. No one was talking about it. A record number of sex offenders. No one was talking about it. Horrific abuse that would end up in people being injured permanently or murdered. These are real issues. Whether as one rules for me so far. It's an ever evolving thing. Is to molest adults. Commercial sex offenders that will be around that. Rule number 2, unsafe training practices, cult-like behavior. Unsafe training practices are allowing somebody to just stand there and get hit in the head without protecting themselves because they think that will condition their brain. It's not going to do that, by the way. And of course, the cult-like behavior goes along with that because you've been convinced by a cult leader to do a thing that is not good for you. So cult-like behavior could be anything, and that's a lot of different arts. You have lying about your belt rank or fight record. So if someone's, when you first go to a martial arts studio, you're going to have a conversation with your instructor. And when you have that conversation, usually the first thing you talk about is, well, what qualifies you to teach me? And so if they're going to lie to you about their fight record or their belt rank, they will lie to you about anything else, I promise you. The next is no-touch knockouts, which also goes along with cult-like behavior, right? Or no-touch knockouts or mislabeling technique. So obviously, you can't knock someone out with your mind or your chi powers.
The chi power, the famous chi power.
Right. But people believe it, and people manipulate people to believe it, and that was pretty obvious. But mislabeling technique is an important one because it goes with that, right? They're saying something's true when it's not. So if I go to a cardio kickboxing class, that's great. Go to a cardio kickboxing class, get a good workout. It doesn't necessarily make you a good kickboxer, but it gets you in shape. Maybe you learn some techniques. Nothing wrong with that. Problem lies whenever someone says, I'm going to make you a great kickboxing champion. This is going to help you become so good at self-defense when it's so far removed from what that really is. They're lying to you. They're saying these things work for this, but they don't actually walk you through what they really do. Cardio kickboxing is great. It's good for you. It's fun. It's just a good time, right? Everybody likes hitting the bag, but it's not going to make you a world champion kickboxer without all of the other things you're going to need, including sparring, mid work, drills that you might not get, and all the other techniques that come with being a good kickboxer. So that's a problem. And then the last one is shady business practices. Sorry, I have to write them down as I go, or I lose them. So, shady business practices. If I go to a martial arts studio and there's a white belt that owns it and a white belt that teaches every class, but when I talk to them, they're honest to me and they say, hey, I've never done martial arts a day in my life. I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm going to charge you $1,000 a month to take classes here. And you still sign up, that's on you.
That's your problem.
If they lie to you and they say, oh, I'm the greatest You know, everybody else sucks. I'm the best. Don't listen to what I say because I'm a black belt. Well, now they're lying to you and they're using shady business tactics to get you to sign up, or people going along with what people used to say, right? Oh, it costs too much. Well, if you were a customer to pay a bill, that's your choice to sign up. That's easy, no matter what the price. The issue comes whenever the hidden fees come, or like you're now, they tell you, hey, it's only going to be $100 a month. Do I have to pay for belt testings? No. Do I have to pay for new uniforms? Well, you will eventually in yours, but we won't force you. Do I have to buy new gear? No, just the gear that you require right at the beginning, right? And when it gets old, replace it. Okay, that's cool. If they say no to all of that and then magically, hey, since you moved up to the new program, we require you to buy all of this. Well, hey, in order for you to get your black belt, you have to sign up for the black belt program.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, now you're lying to me. You could have just told me that to begin with, right? But those are shady business practices. So those are technically right now the 5 rules of what make a McDojo. And as time goes on, it evolves, right? But from what I've been able to tell so far, these are the actual problems in our industry. These are the things that get ignored the most. Especially, by the way, and I'm sorry to be long-winded, but especially the cult behavior, because you see cult behavior in even legitimate martial arts. Jiu-jitsu has a lot of cult behavior, like the gauntlet, where you get your belt promotion, and not, by the way, not every jiu-jitsu academy does this, but certain gyms do this, and you get promoted, and everyone lines up on either side of you, and you walk down the middle of them while they whip you with belts.
Yeah.
And then you walk back and get whipped again. What does that do for you? Does that make you better at jiu-jitsu? No. Does it make you worse at jiu-jitsu if you don't do it? No. It's just a nonsensical hazing that people are convinced that because their studio does it, it's got to be legit. It's not. You should be able to say, I'm not doing that stupid shit. Like, no. Like that's, or, you know, there's a lot of people in jiu-jitsu that might ignore the issues in jiu-jitsu because it is jiu-jitsu. For instance, like anyone who's sexually abused someone, they'll turn a blind eye and say, oh, no, that's okay. Well, because they're good at jiu-jitsu, we're still going to follow them anyway. Well, where's the ethics in all of this? It's troublesome.
But actually, you see that too in karate, the baptism, that you check you have your test and they start hitting you, and every time that when you are black belt, it's even worse. It can increase every time that you. But it's right. I mean, I didn't see that before. I mean, what's the point of that? It makes you think about that. You know, I didn't think about that until now that you.
Yeah, well, an easy way to figure out if something is, I guess you could say, legitimate in martial arts, or if something is culty in anything you do, is apply that exact same thing to another job.
Yeah.
So, like, for instance, if I got a promotion at work, right, which I work for me, but let's hypothetically say Rob works in an office and has a desk job. And then all of a sudden I get promoted. I'm like, everybody's like, hey, Rob just got a promotion. And they go, all right, guys, everybody line up. And everybody took off their actual belts. And I had to walk down and get whipped. Wouldn't you think that was weird? But then magically in martial arts, it's not weird. Like, yes, it's still weird. Or people will go, well, sparring doesn't happen at work. No, but sparring also isn't agreed to sparring is assumed when I sign up at martial arts. What's not assumed is that I will be randomly whipped. Like, there's a difference. Like, same thing with swimming. Well, you're not going to swim at work, so is swimming stupid? No, it's not. But what would be stupid is if work did say, hey, you're never going to swim here ever at a desk job, but now you got promoted, get in the pool. Like, what? Like, it doesn't make any logical sense. Yeah. So it's very strange how martial arts will justify the weirdest things.
That's true. And speaking of that, do you think that there are more McDojos nowadays than before?
Honestly, yes. Since I started doing Mcdojolife, I think it's been over 11 years now. But when I started Mcdojolife, getting content now, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just because of the internet. There are more cameras everywhere, so it's easier to see.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just incorrect, but it does seem like because of certain martial arts becoming more popular, for instance, jiu-jitsu used to never have big crowds, but ADCC had the T-Mobile Arena now filled up.
Yeah.
And before that, the Thomas and Mack Center, giant arenas filled up to watch just jiu-jitsu. It seems like MMA is extremely popular now, more popular now than it's ever been. So it seems like because of those things becoming more popular, more people are joining martial arts. There seem to be more gyms. And so because there are more gyms, the likelihood that there are more frauds is higher. So,
So do you think that the social media right now, social media, digital marketing has too much to do with that, like influencing McDojos?
Well, I think that, what you would hope, and I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding about how a cult works. People assume that because the information is out there exposing these frauds, that there would be less frauds. But those same exact frauds are able to use social media to reach a larger audience. So let's say even if 1 per every 100 people, I'm just making this number up, but just using it as an example, let's say 1 for every 100 people did join a cult, right?
Yeah.
Well, our culture is made up of cults. The root word of culture is cult. So like if you look at culture, cult is the very beginning of that word. So we're made up of a lot of cults. And I think a lot of people don't seem to understand that they themselves are probably in one. So it's easy to manipulate people when someone is aligning with your thought process. So you'll see this a lot, and just giving an example with like politics. There's a cult of politics on either side of the aisle. There are certain people that no matter what's going on, no matter what happens, no matter what goes on under the name of, like, let's say, democratic values, that they're going to be a Democrat no matter what. Whoever's in charge can do no wrong. It's always the other guy's fault. Okay, well, there are people on the other side of the aisle who will say, I'm Republican and no Republican can do wrong and everyone else is wrong but us. Well, that's a very culty thing to do, because what most sane people do is they look at both sides of what's going on and make an educated decision for themselves, not because they're a part of a large group. But again, our culture is made up of a lot of cults, so it's easy to manipulate people.
Yeah, I think that right now is, talking about parents that are, they want that their kids start practicing martial arts and everything. I'm pretty sure that is way easy to manipulate them. I don't know. It's that I have some experience about that. People around me that, they signed their kids to a dojo, but I know that it's a McDojo, but I don't know how to deal saying to them, that this school is a McDojo. They don't understand that. So how to reach, educate parents that they want to, sign the kids to a school, but you have the experience, that it's a McDojo, but I don't know, they don't understand that.
Well, half the battle is that there are a lot of companies out there like Mind Body, Perfect Mind, Rainmaker, Zen Planner, and all of these are what they call CRM systems. And they are computer software that helps martial arts academies run. They do their billing, their scheduling, appointments, things like that. And what we've kind of learned is that the majority of people who join martial arts quit between 8 months to a year and a half. So even people who do train at any dojo, no matter what the dojo, whether it would be legitimate or not, they're going to quit anyway, no matter what the dojo. So I think that helping parents or anyone understand that you have a very small window, you will probably do this hobby. Most. Now, when people start, oh, I'm never quitting. Okay. Some people don't quit, but most do.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I think the goal should be reach your goal. Most people who join martial arts don't actually set tangible goals. And it's so important to do that so that way you know who can and who cannot provide what you need. Because people will say, what's the best martial art? And everyone will have a cookie cutter answer. Jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if that jiu-jitsu instructor molests kids? Is that the best studio for you? No, because you're doing this, they're saying it with a broad paintbrush and not thinking logically.
Yeah.
What should be looked at is how can this help the individual the best reach their personal goal, not our goal, but their goal. And if you can find a coach that actually cares about what you want and helps get you what you want, no matter if you can kick or punch out of a wet paper bag, if it helps you reach your personal goal, isn't that what we were going for anyway?
Yeah.
So my suggestion to everyone is, one, take as many trial classes as you can. Almost every martial arts school has a trial class, whether it's free or paid, doesn't matter. If it's paid, it's probably going to run better, just in my opinion, because that means that they're treating it like a business. Chances are good they require local federal background checks, and they probably have CPR because they're already treating it like a business. And that's what businesses do, is put in systems in place for safety. Then after you've taken a couple, right, go around, try different arts, try the capoeira school, try the boxing school, try the jiu-jitsu academy, try all of that, right? And then think to yourself, did I have fun? Because if you did not have fun, no matter how good they are, you will not train. You will quit because it sucks to go.
Yeah.
Were they nice to me on this? Were they as nice to everyone else as they were to me? That's a huge one. Because when you go into an academy for your free trial, what happens is, of course, they're going to treat you really nice on your first day because they want you to sign up. They're going to treat you better that day than any other day, no matter what the gym. So look at how they treat everyone else. Are they treating them kind? Are they treating them polite? Or are they really nice to you and then yelling at them? Because after you sign up, you're going to be them. So if they're polite, hey, this is a cool environment. Hey, they're treating them nice. So now I'm having fun. They're treating everyone else with respect. Are they helping me reach my goal? Or are they telling me what my goal should be? That's huge. This is where I see a lot of coaches fail. A lot of coaches will say, you have to compete. Why?
Why?
Not what they wanted? Like, did you ask what they wanted? Or, hey, you will never get promoted unless you compete. Okay, well, let them know that off the bat. Because if their goal was to come in and lose 10 pounds, will competition help? Yeah, but is that how they necessarily wanted to lose it? Maybe not.
Yeah.
That you should ask. So is it fun? Are they treating everyone with respect? And can they help you reach your goal? And when you find that gym and you go, I want to sign up here, Google the instructor's name. Google their name. Because if they have done, and side note here, local federal background checks should be done on all employees. CPR first aid certification should be done on all employees and volunteers as well. Because you could go, the person could be great. They helped me reach my goal. They're so polite to everybody. They're a registered sex offender.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, if they did background checks, you would know this. And then after you get all of those things packaged up, right? Then Google their name and find out for yourself if they have a criminal history, if they've been in the news for anything. I mean, we're in a digital age, so it's very easy to find out information.
That's true. And, I don't know here, but is there any institution, speaking of that, that, I don't know, is there any institution that help you to regulate controlling these McDojos? I mean, here in the United States, because I don't know about that. I know it's not that easy, but is there any way, or like I say, any institution here?
No, there is no regulating body. That's kind of another reason I kind of started doing what I do.
Yeah.
Since there is no real requirement, you can, like, it's you're guessing. If I wanted to, I could have no martial arts background whatsoever. Anyone can open up a dojo, regardless of if they've ever trained at all. They don't have to have background checks. They don't have to have CPR first aid certification. They don't they really don't have to know martial arts at all. And that happens all the time. All they
Yeah.
really have to do is have a business license and be charismatic. That's it. And that's scary. So that's why it's so important for people to do their own research, and the consumer base, the customers who are going into the gyms, should start asking questions more than how much does it cost, which is usually the only question a customer will ask. Like,
Yeah.
there are so many more important questions that should be asked other than cost. Like we talked about, background checks are so important, because if you don't, one, you're guessing this person has ethics. Martial arts has this weird thing in pop culture where they go honor, integrity, respect, discipline. Like, and we automatically give that to a stranger we've never met. We don't even know this person, but because they have a black piece of cloth around their waist tied in a knot, we go, oh, that's honor, integrity, respect, discipline. That's what that looks like. No,
Oh.
like, they're just a person. They're a person. Chances are good your martial arts instructor has probably messed up in their life. Chances are good your martial arts instructor probably has had a drink of alcohol. Your martial arts instructor probably has done a drug or two. Your martial arts instructor has probably done something they're ashamed of, because they're just people. So, like, the moment we treat them like people and treat martial arts like what it is, which is, yes, this is a hobby. This is something that will help you in a lot of aspects of your life. But these are not people who need to be put on a pedestal. None of us should be put on a pedestal.
That's
We're just people. That's it.
That's true. And you know that I'm seeing you exposing many fakes, masters, and everything. Around this, I don't know, since I met you. So I'm pretty sure that you've been in many issues with these people, right?
Yes. A lot of issues.
Yeah. You deal with that like, I don't care.
No, I care. Like, I wish I could do that. Like, I'll be honest, it gets to me. Like,
Because they're really big. I mean, it's not like, oh, he's a fake master. No, it's very serious pedophiles and whatever. It's nothing compared with, oh no, he's faking his degree.
yeah, that's, I wish that was the only problem. But it's not. I get messages all the time. I get death threats. I get lawsuits. Like, I just went through a lawsuit recently. Luckily, the guy is done. It's the first lawsuit that I've had, because I have a drawer here. I call these keepers. So these are like subpoena, like this is cease and desist orders. Yeah. So I get it all the time. And
Wow.
I did a story. I've done stories about horrific things like Bobby Joe Blythe. That's a story. So Bobby Joe Blythe killed a homeless person inside his dojo, recorded it, and put it online. And what's even crazier is that guy did a demonstration at an elementary school where he had a fake gun and pretended to shoot and kill someone in front of children.
Oh my God.
That's insane. Or how about Edon Abelnick? Edon Abelnick runs the Kala system. He shot a student doing gun disarms with live ammunition. After he did that, he continued to do gun disarms with live ammunition. That's insane. Or how about oh man, there's just so many of them. Oh, here's another one. Brian Antak. Brian Antak of Brian Antak's Kempo Karate in Bakersfield, California. He hired a guy named Gary Snap Ferguson. When he did that, Gary Snap Ferguson was a registered sex offender, also had multiple restraining orders against him from ex-wives. When he did so, when I put out the story about him, he says, he sued me for putting out the story, by the way. But when I put out that story, I showed the facts. I showed all the evidence of what happened. I showed that he allowed this guy to teach kids classes, which he did. And then he said, oh, I didn't know. Come to find out, not only did he know, but a parent reached out to me personally and said that they had told him 3 years before he actually admitted to knowing. So he knew this guy was a registered sex offender,
Oh my.
still allowed him to teach children. And then a year after he says he kicked him out of the studio, there's a picture that a parent sent me of Gary Snap Ferguson, the sex offender, teaching a child's class. So at the end of the day, these things add up. I think at least 3-4 times a week, there are stories of martial arts instructors molesting children. Probably about 4 times a month, at least, there are stories of martial arts instructors molesting students who are adults.
Yeah.
And it just never ends. And I'd like to say that it doesn't bother me. I wish it didn't, but it does, because it feels like I'm fighting this uphill battle. I'm constantly fighting to try to do good by people and help these people out in this industry. And yet it seems like it just keeps happening. And my fear and what I'm worried about, which is inevitable at this point, is that if we as a community don't step up and actually try to put checks and balances in place and require more of our instructors, then what will happen is a government entity will. And it's already been proposed many times already. Like, for instance, in New York, there's a thing called the diaphragm bill. And the diaphragm bill is a knee-jerk reaction bill to deaths that were happening in New York by police officers.
Mm-hmm.
They, in the diaphragm bill, said you cannot put pressure on an assailant's diaphragm. So that means no bear hugs from the front, no bear hugs from the rear, no knee on belly, no mount, no back mount, no side control. Anything that will put pressure on the person's chest, you cannot do. But you can shoot them. You can still kick them in the head. You can still punch them. You can still hit them with your car if necessary. You can still taser them. All of these things, which are more violent options, but don't sit on them. That's a regulated bill. Police officers could get fired for sitting on someone they're trying to safely apprehend. But you can punch them in the head all you want. So at the end of the day, what we're doing is we as martial artists need to require more of our leaders. We need our leaders at the top to say, hey, everybody, background checks. Sorry. And a background check doesn't mean you can't hire someone. It just means we know about their criminal history, and we can make informed decisions as school owners to say, hey, that guy raped a bunch of people. Maybe we shouldn't allow him to teach classes here.
Yeah.
Or if you can forgive, you can say, hey, man, this guy, when he was 17 years old or 18 years old, he committed like an armed robbery. He's 40 years old. He's got a master's degree now. He hasn't had any issues since then. I'm going to give him a second chance. You could do that too. But by us trying to turn these blinders on and pretend these things aren't happening in our industry is negligence.
Yeah.
Negligence, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. Just to finish, what is the future of Mcdojolife?
I'm working on, last year I wrote a book. That was pretty cool.
I knew recently about that. I was like, what book? Oh my God, I didn't know about his book.
I did. I wrote a book last year. A friend of mine named Lewis Martin helped me write this book. So shout out to Lewis Martin. Lewis Martin, originally I met him because he wrote a book because he was in a martial arts cult. Sorry, my bookshelf's right behind me. So Lewis Martin wrote this book called The True Believers, which is fantastic. And if anybody gets a chance to read it, it's about his experience being in a martial arts cult. So then I got in contact with him because we filmed with him for our documentary we've been working on.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, I got a story. Would you mind writing my book? And he was like, absolutely. So this is about my childhood and starting martial arts, fighting in nightclubs when I was a teenager. There's a lot of wild stories in here, so feel free to check that out. Our documentary about martial arts cults and frauds will be completed this year. So it's been 4 years in the making.
I know that many people ask you all the time about that.
Yeah, which I get it.
Yeah.
You know, if it was, I think the people don't understand how much work really goes into it. And a documentary, you're documenting. So like my lawsuit, the guy just 3 days ago, quit. He quit. He's like, hey, I want to settle. I'm done trying to sue you, because he's already lost so much of the case. So that is all being documented. That's a part of our documentary. And that's been going on now for over a year and a half. So of course we're going to put that in the documentary. We got Jocko Willink as an executive producer of our movie. Jocko was really famous in the industry. So that took time. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but it's going to be so good. I'm excited about it. We have a meeting with Idris Elba's production company next week. So they might be coming on board to help us complete the film. So no matter what is going to get done this year, super excited. I'm working on getting a headquarters. My headquarters will be an event venue just for martial arts. Very similar to like a music event venue where you bring in bands all the time. I'm going to do that, but just for martial arts. Tournaments, seminars, classes, but not affiliated with anything. And anyone can come. I'm also going to put a bar in there just because that's how I am. So we'll have a good time. It'll be a fun atmosphere.
Well, I'm excited for you. And I can't wait to see the documentary because...
Oh, I did have one more thing. So at the end of last year, we started Mcdojolife.com. And McDojolife.com has a registry. Now I need to obviously I need to grow the registry because there's a lot of names that need to be put on there. But there's a registry on there where you can type in an instructor's name and see if they've committed any type of crime.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, I hope that by the end of this year, I'll have at least one employee to be able to run that website 100%.
Wow.
And then just input data 100% all day, just inputting data, whatever happens to the minute. If someone has molested someone, has gotten in the news, if someone's defrauded someone, anything martial arts related, the goal is to make it go on that website and just keep alerting people.
That's huge. I mean, that's going to help a lot. Wow. Be careful. Well, thank you so much, Rob. I don't want to take you more time, but thank you so much. I really appreciate that you take this moment to have this conversation with me. And like I say, it's a huge honor for me. I always wanted to do this. Sadly, we couldn't do that in Florida because I thought that you were living in Miami when I was there. But next time, I hope that next time we do this in person.
I'd like that. That'd be fun.
Well, thank you so much, Rob. And I see you soon. And
Sounds good.
Everybody.